Due to the graphic nature of this program, viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the Marco Jure Show, everybody. It is Wednesday, August 20th. The summer is flying by, but what better way to spend your day than right here with me? Thanks for being here, as always, to get all the groundbreaking news across the United States, across the world, where the facts are facts and hard truths always thrive. Please be sure to hit that like button and follow the show. Send it out and share with others, please. I always appreciate when you do that. Let's get ready now, though, for the best hour that radio has to offer, uncensored and ready to go. You know, I want to start off talking just briefly about this Russia-Ukraine conflict really quickly. I don't want to get too much into it today. We talked a bit about it yesterday on yesterday's show. But no meeting has been set between Presidents Putin and Zelensky as of yet. Even with Putin now calling Zelensky's the West puppet, doesn't give me that much hope, but at least we have the talks kind of on the table, set, ready to go. So not all is lost. I'm still hopeful that these meetings get set between these two, because they are the ones that have to end this war, folks. It can't be Donald Trump. It can't be NATO. It can't be Europe. It's got to be between these two. Now, I was watching Fox News earlier, and, they had one of these military officials come on, reiterating Trump's position that there will not be boots on the ground, of course, which is absolutely important. That Putin's not going to go for that. But perhaps we control their airspace, is what he said. Now, this is stupid in and of itself, because Russia owns the entire airspace over Ukraine right now. They do. So not a chance in hell President Putin is going to allow this to happen. And spare me the 30,000 NATO troops in Ukraine for a security guarantee. That's not going to happen. They don't have the manpower to do it. You could thank their low birth rates in Europe for that one. Maybe they can send some of the illegal invaders that they have running their cities amok, deporting them to Ukraine. Maybe they can run the ground force for them there. Scott Ritter was on Dialogue Works earlier, and he was saying that the Russian officials told him that the death ratio for every one Russian, there are 12 to 20 dead Ukrainians, which equals out to 1.7, 1.8 million dead Ukrainians. So this whole story that they're trying to say, Russia ran to the table because they're getting their asses kicked on the field is simply not true. Nothing could be further from the truth. It is Russia that is obviously exasperated itself. It is falling quickly. When you have 1.7, 1.8 million dead Ukrainian soldiers, that's not good, folks. That's not good for your society, considering how many people have fled. I know some people that have fled Ukraine and come to the United States right here in Los Angeles. But it's evident that Russia has won this war. President Putin does not fear Europe, nor does he want Europe. That was the big story when it first began. He's going to go to Ukraine, then he's going to go to Poland, then he's going to go to Latvia. I mean, it's just ridiculousness. He never wanted any of that region. But now he's won. He's won this, and he's going to set all the parameters for these peace terms. They are his terms. He will set them to end this war. Zelensky's going to basically have nothing left. I mean, this is it for Zelensky, by the way. Once this war's over, Zelensky is gone. So we can, say bon voyage, Zelensky, after this. It's all over. You destroyed your nation on your aspirations to, again, join NATO and, of course, attack the Russian population in the Donbass region. He was president for all of this. So you can thank Zelensky for that, of course. They will be giving up all 4 oblasts, keeping Crimea. They will become demilitarized, as I've been saying over and over again. And what Zelensky wants doesn't matter. The last thing he can do, probably for Putin, is restore these elections, Putin will want a pro-Russian president in office. That won't be a guarantee of his, I'm sure. And Zelensky will probably have to flee in his brand new suit that they gave him when he went to D.C. on Monday. And that's it. All is lost. And that's that. You know, once Zelensky realizes it's over, he will then go and grovel to President Putin. And then we will see, you know, no more Russia dominating the battlefield, as it has been. And again, I hope Americans like their $350 billion spent, plus the interest on this investment we had in Ukraine. I hope it was worth everyone's while that was championing this war, wore the Ukrainian flag, put the Ukrainian decals on the cars and stickers on the cars, of course. And all it resulted in was 1.8 million dead Ukrainian soldiers, along with civilians as well. And Russia gains its territory back. That's it. That's all. Yep, that's all she wrote. So again, the last thing I want to say on this is simply, I want this to end. I want peace to prevail. I want whatever is left of Ukraine to get back into it, I guess. I don't know what else to really say about this. I don't know how they're going to recover from this, of course. But it's possible. It's possible. And I want these ridiculous nonsense, these calls of Putin being a thug, a killer, a dictator, all this nonsense in the Western press to just go away. Stop making Russia out to be the boogeyman. Putin handled himself very well with Donald Trump. He said right away he wanted to meet with President Trump right when he was elected. But Zelensky has got to come to the table. They've got to talk out peace terms. If President Trump or Rubio or Witkoff want to be there to play mediator, I don't care. But it's got to come between these two. That's all I'll say on that. So as we wait with hope that peace prevails. You know, there was this incident in Rhode Island just the other day. And this is really funny to me because it's just so ridiculous how arrogant some people are, especially in these positions of power. We've seen this nonstop, haven't we, in this country? There was a prosecutor, and I have to laugh. I'm going to play it for you. Don't worry. This woman, they're unruly at a seafood restaurant, if I'm not mistaken. And they're being asked to leave by the police. And of course, now they're giving the police a hard time. And it just goes to show you that no matter what you think your title is or how much you know, no one is above the law. I don't know why people think that because they hold a Rhode Island Special Assistant Attorney General title that they can just simply talk back to people and do whatever the hell they want. I don't understand this. Have these people never heard the word no before? That's what I want to know. Did their parents ever tell them no? Shut up, you're an idiot, stop talking? You're not acting like this? Or were they the kids that were like screaming constantly, falling down the floor, kicking and screaming? Everyone thinks they're completely moronic and wondering what the hell the parents are doing. These are the result. We're finally seeing these millennial children that have come to be adults, that have gotten in positions of power somehow, and they completely make an ass of themselves. And this is what we're seeing right here in Rhode Island. The law is the law. If you break the law, you have to answer for it. That's how it works. This is why I'm shocked a lawyer in a position of a prosecutor can't seem to understand this. So I'm going to play this for you right now. I want you to hear this. This is how ridiculous these people are. And she's with her friend, and they keep talking back to the cop. I don't understand this. Let's play it.
I want you to turn your body cam off. Protocol is that you turn it off. If a citizen requests it to turn it off, she's a lawyer.
So they want you guys to leave?
Yes, we're gonna leave.
Let's just leave. Let's just make it easy, okay?
We're gonna make it easy.
No, that's not.
I am. Okay, I'm her
That's
husband.
not the point. Can you look at me?
We'll talk over here, okay?
Your protocol is.
Can we all talk? Can we all talk?
We'll talk over here. They want you to leave.
Your protocol is.
Can we talk?
Who is she to you?
What's that?
No,
Who is she to
nothing.
you?
Nothing.
She is our college friend.
Okay. She's a friend.
Yes.
No, I'm not.
So they're not leaving. They're standing there talking. He's going to go over. You're going to hear him in a second. He's going to go talk to the owner of the restaurant or someone in charge that's asked them to leave already. That's obviously called the police. And it just continues to escalate ridiculously from here.
You guys just want him out? Do you want him trespass?
Anything we can do.
Yeah.
Trespass, yeah. I just need
Trespass, get him
yeah,
out.
cuff him, please. It's the only way.
He tells him to cuff him. This is great. This is great. Here we go.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Do we want to chat?
I know that your
All right.
protocol is.
So you're trespass, so we got to leave now. Unless you want to be in
We're
handcuffs.
not trespassing. You haven't notified us that we're trespassing.
guys
Number
don't
one.
trespass.
Number
He just told her, you're trespassing. You haven't notified us that we're trespassing. He just literally said it to you. I mean, how many drinks in is this chick? I don't understand this. You're asked to leave. Listen, if you're asked to leave a restaurant, they have the right to tell you to leave. They have the right to refuse you service. And you have to exit the building. Otherwise, you are trespassing. He literally just said, we're done. Let's go over here and talk. He went and talked to the manager or whomever and said, please. I mean, this guy's like, please, get them out of here. Trespass them, cuff them, get them out of here. So they're clearly being rude or unruly of some sort, or probably loud, or who knows what. But they're being asked to leave. And we're going to see how this escalates when it doesn't really have to.
What'd you say to you? You're
You're
trespass.
number
Let's go.
one. Number one.
I don't
Number
want
two.
to arrest you guys.
You're not going to arrest us. Number two
So let's
is
leave.
that
We got to go. We got to go.
protocol
Let's
is
go. Let's
the
go.
Calm down for
citizen
1
protocol
second.
is if we
Yeah.
ask you to
I
turn
don't
the
want.
body
I don't
cam
want to
off.
deal with this. Let's
Okay.
go.
No, no.
I understand you don't want to deal with it,
Okay,
but the
let's go.
protocol
Wait,
is,
wait,
and your
can you-
protocol
can
is
you
if I
relax?
ask you to turn off the body cam, you have to turn it off, and that's your protocol.
She's a f***ing lawyer, so she knows.
Well, that's lawyer stuff, so that's not true. So we got to go.
No, it is. That's law.
I'm an
What's she
AG.
saying?
I'm an AG.
Good for you. I don't give a shit. Let's go. We're going. Let's go.
Excuse.
We're leaving.
Please don't.
We're leaving.
Please don't put your hands on us.
Can you get your children out of here? Like, I don't know why.
I'm sorry. What?
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go.
No.
Let's go. Come on, you're waiting there are two full-grown women and mothers of children. All right.
Hey, you're just being detained. You're just being detained.
I'm an AG. I'm an AG. I'm an AG. What do you?
What's wrong with you?
What
What's
do
wrong
you
with you?
probable cause to detain me for?
You're being detained because you're not leaving.
Because I'm what? You have
Can you relax?
Sir, she's not doing anything wrong.
She's
AG.
not leaving.
I'm an AG.
She's
Let's
an
go.
AG.
So now here's the beta boyfriend of the other blonde. She's not doing anything, sir. Let me intervene now and make situation even worse. When you are asked to leave, you are to leave. Now, this is hilarious to me. I'm laughing as I'm playing this for you. But because you are an assistant AG doesn't mean you get to do whatever the hell you want. And I'm just using it as an example because this is a grown woman acting ridiculous right now. This is completely unnecessary behavior coming from someone in her position. When a cop tells you to do something, you are to follow the command. If you think it's unruly, what he's doing, or violating the law or your rights, you have a right to get his badge afterwards and file a complaint. You don't have a right to make a scene in front of a restaurant when you are being asked to leave and try to tell him what his job is. And it's not going to go well at this point. In any situation, by the way. If you're getting pulled over and start acting like this, it's not going to end well. Comply. That's all you have to do. Listen to what he's telling you, or she is telling you, and follow their commands. That's how you're going to get out of it in a much better situation. She chose not to have that happen.
Buddy, you're not. She's not being arrested. Let's go.
I'm not being arrested. You're putting me in cuffs. I'm not being
Okay,
arrested.
do you have any weapons on you?
No, I'm an AG.
Her badge is in the car. You want me to go get a badge?
Let me tell you something. You're
Buddy,
arresting.
get the hell out of here. Buddy, just seriously.
You're arresting an AG. Let me tell you something.
Are you under arrest right now? No.
You're putting me in handcuffs and you're Mirandizing. You're not Mirandizing me.
Relax. Relax.
Buddy, you're gonna regret this.
Yeah.
You're gonna regret it. I'm an AG.
Oh my God. Ridiculous. I'm an AG. What does that have to do with anything? But because you're an AG, all of a sudden you can do whatever the hell you want? I don't understand these people, where they get this arrogance from, this ego maniac. You're asked to leave, leave. Now, if you don't like it, don't go back to the restaurant. I mean, what else can I say to you people? This is completely unbecoming of this woman right now. That she has to be arrested. And of course, her friend gets arrested, resists, of course, starts screaming, starts kicking the door. I'm not even going to play it for you, but this is the reality of where we live, folks. We have people that simply act rude in public. They think they can do whatever they want. They think they're God's, gift to the world. That they can just say things and tell you what's going to happen. I will bet you anything. When she was a child, she told her parents what to do. And her parents went, oh, okay, don't make a scene. We'll do whatever you want. And now this woman is now an adult, of course. And here she is again, trying to tell people what to do. She never heard the, words no. And she made a fool of herself, and now it's all over the nation's coverage, which I think is hilarious. That's why I wanted to play it for you. Folks, when you're out in public, all right, act responsible. Act accordingly. Stop making a scene. Stop being rude to people. If you don't like the way you're treated at a restaurant, or don't like the way service is handled, or the way your order was prepared, don't go back. Find another place to go. I've done that before. I'm not rude to the people working there. Just move on. It happens. Sometimes your order's not the way you wanted it. Okay. Don't go back. Don't go back. You don't have to make a scene. When you're asked to leave, leave. Not good stuff, folks. Not good stuff. Not good for someone in her position, too. So I look forward to seeing what actually happens in this situation. I doubt anything serious is going to happen, but that looks bad, folks. When you're the Assistant Attorney General in Rhode Island, my God. Yeah. Probably not going to go well for her friend either, that she got arrested. That's not going to look good. That's not going to look good, I don't think. By the way, the economy, folks. We got to move on to the economy. We haven't talked about the economy much this week, so I wanted to go into this article in the Trends Journal right now. And it's shedding some good light. It's called Shocking U.S. Inflation Warning Projection and 4 Things That You Needed to Do. So let's talk about the reality of our economy right now. I know everyone's been telling you it's fantastic and nothing could be better. That's not true. That's not true based on what we are seeing right now. So we have inflation that's still present, right? It's very low right now. It's 2 to 2.7%, as I'm being told. But the inflation and, of course, the currency devaluation, which is the result of inflation, here in the U.S. is starting to pick up momentum now more rapidly. Moreover, there is not a single roadblock being put to slow this down. Instead, it's the polar opposite. We have continued calls for lower rates, lower interest rates. We see that Donald Trump is fighting for that, which will then mean even more of a loss of your purchasing power. Understand that when the dollar is devalued, as so much as it is right now, thanks to government spending and, of course, the printing of currency, that'd be fiat currency, by the Federal Reserve, you lose your purchasing power. So that $1 that you think is worth, 100 pennies, is actually worth only about 2 or 3 pennies right now. That's how devalued this currency has become over time. When you have an out-of-control Federal Reserve and, of course, an out-of-control spending appetite by those in Congress that simply pass on that debt to other people, that'd be you and your progeny. So all along with this, level of debt expansion equals obviously much higher inflation. And of course, we saw massive inflation under the Biden regime. I mean, he was just printing out, spending all this money on the war in Ukraine, printing out all this currency, giving it to this country, giving it to that country. We saw what was happening with USAID. You saw how much money is just being spent abroad and sent abroad. And for what? We are in debt, folks. We're at $37 trillion in debt. And we're spending money on foreign wars still? I told you, we've got to get our manufacturing under control in this country. We've got to take the money that people want to invest in us and make our country manufacturing again. Can anyone bring that up to Donald Trump? Make America manufacture again. That's what I want. Come on, let's get to it. That's the only way we can maybe start to spend down this massive debt that we're in. And even then, it looks very bleak. I mean, how do you get out of $37 trillion in debt? How do you even get to that? since 2000. I mean, we were at, I think, around 5 trillion, roughly, around there in 2000, 2001. $37 trillion now. It's unbelievable. So that there's no brakes on inflation. The Fed's policy is remaining loose, and it will only get more loose as time goes on. And government spending is completely unchecked. The whole purpose of having a Congress is to control the wallet of the banks, of the Treasury, if you will. That's not happening right now. We're not seeing it. Now we have Donald Trump openly calling for a weaker dollar along with the lower interest rates. So again, as the lower interest rates come to, right, he wants the base points to be dropped. That's why he wants Jerome Powell to be gone. You're going to get more cheap credit. Now that might sound great to you, of course, but that equals more money now in circulation, chasing the same amount of goods because we're not producing as much, which means there's going to be higher prices. So you see how the economy is, just in limbo right now? This is what we're seeing right now. I told you before, when you have 111 different food processing companies going under or producers going under, you got to bring in that food somewhere else. So now you're going to what? Import the food in? You've got to start producing more. That's why I told you before, I want to see the agricultural sector begin to really spruce up. We need to start producing more here. We shouldn't be relying on food coming in from abroad. That's not to say we can't have any, but I'm just saying when you cannot become dependent in our medicines and food, technology of sorts, we have to start manufacturing here. That's the only way we get out of this. Now we're also talking about the tariffs that are a problem because the tariff is simply a tax. We talked about the tariffs earlier this week, especially on things coming out of the EU at 15%. So we have these tariffs now that are going to be coming into your consumer prices very, very soon. For essentials, for manufactured goods, all across that board. Because again, we're not producing here. And that's how they get you. You want to buy olive oil from Italy? Well, that's going to be 50%, 25% more now. You want to buy something from Spain? Well, that's going to be 15% more now. You are paying that money that everyone's bragging about that's coming as a result of these tariffs. You are paying that. So anytime you hear tariff, I want you to think of there's a tax on this now. However high Donald Trump deems the tariff, which he should not be, that's the job of Congress, that he's supposed to sign into law, that becomes a problem. You can just decide one day whatever the hell you want the tariff price to be. What percentage they're going to pay out of China. What percentage they're going to pay out of Russia. What percentage they're going to pay out of the EU. And it's only getting more and more expensive. So the projection now that the Trends Journal has for February of 2026, they estimate the core consumer price index is going to be between 3.7 and 4.2% from the current 3.1%. Possibly higher if energy reverses course and begins to climb. Now, I want the energy independence to return back to the United States. We are starting to drill more, so I see the prices of gas have come down in many states, not in mine, of course, in California, thanks to our gas tax, and making it more difficult to produce here. But in the nation, if we can get energy under control, we start producing, create that infrastructure to do so, hopefully we'll be okay on that front. Now, your effect on daily life as a result of this. The food inflation is now going to resume coming up, so the price of the grocery store goods that affect you every day, every time you go to eat, they're going to start to climb. Medical, insurance, and service costs are going to continue to rise, and rent and housing are going to really continue to rise, again, as these rates drop and credit and debt flows. So we're going to see that. And I have a good article, too, for you next on what's happening in our housing market right now. So let's go to a year from now, August of 2026. What is the Trends Journal predicting? The core consumer price index will be between 4.5 to 5.5 year over year. And the effect on your daily life will be real wages are going to shrink and faster. Even if your pay rises, inflation is going to outpace it by a large margin. Your purchasing power drops, harder for middle and lower income housing, of course. And you're going to see commodities like gold, silver, oil, grains likely see strong gains in capital fleas and fiat. So now we have the dollar confidence eroding globally, and of course expects acceleration of de-dollarization, efforts brought on by the BRICS nations, that'd be Russia, Brazil, India, China, South Africa. So the bottom line, what is the bottom line of all this? Why am I telling you this? Because I want you to be prepared, first of all. I'd much rather you stock up on perishable food items right now versus paying for it much more later on a year from now, should all this begin to happen. Now, I don't tell you this to scare you. I tell you this for you to prepare. Because it's going to be hurting your wallet very, very soon. So we're walking into an environment where inflation is not only allowed, but again, it's encouraged by as a policy tool. The expansion of debt, the lower rates, to borrow more money. That's why we see America in, over $1 trillion worth of credit card debt in this country? People living off their credit cards because they can't find work? And it all results as a weaker dollar comes into play. But the bill will be paid in higher living costs, weaker currency, and of course, more debt for you. That's what it comes down to. The average person will be told inflation is under control, while your grocery cart, your rent, the insurance that's trickling up tells you a much very different story. So, the counter strategy. What can you do? What is the Trends Journal recommending for you to do? Well, you can start investing in hard assets. Think gold, silver, commodities, real productive land, right? That's one way you can do it. Your debt awareness, avoiding long-term borrowing at the start of a rising inflation cycle is not really a good idea unless it's a fixed. And of course, you have a strategy to pay that back. Multiple income streams, right? That's something you could do. Residual incomes, build flows that, can't be easily taxed or frozen. Otherwise, you're going to be robbed blind. And of course, your community strength. What does that mean? Inflation only destroys the isolated. It has less power over pride. So if we work together as a community, reach out, form alliances with like-minded people, hopefully that won't hit your community as hard. But you got to see this coming in advance. That's why I read to you from the Trends Journal, because they're the only ones talking about this right now. I don't see this anywhere else. I don't see it anywhere in the mainstream news. Most of the publications are simply saying what a great economy we have right now. And there's things that we can look at that say, okay, things are looking good right now. We have people investing in the United States. We have the ability for manufacturing. We have energy independence, working back towards that. Those are all good things that Donald Trump is doing. But they're not here yet. And if they don't come back, we're going to see ourselves in a lot of trouble. I told you before, we can't rely on Amazon, defense spending. I don't know what else. What else do we do in this country? We can't do it. Not a good thing. The Wall Street Journal has this article, and it kind of relates to what I was just telling you. That's why I wanted to go over both of these articles on the economy today. But it starts out by saying nobody's buying homes and nobody's switching jobs, and America's mobility is beginning to stall. What do I mean? People are moving around in new homes, new cities, at an all-around lowest rate on record right now. Companies have fewer roles for entry-level workers trying to start their careers off. Workers who have done jobs are now hanging on to them. They're not moving. They're not taking risks. Economists worry that the phenomenon is now putting the country and its trademark at risk. That's what we're seeing right now. So they give some examples in this article, of course. People just getting out of college. Of course, you're in massive amounts of debt. You're trying to get that first job. It's not happening. They often have to take lower paying jobs. They really can't accommodate them, of course. But the problem is what's happening right now. In the 1950s, the 1960s, here's the kicker, 20% of Americans would typically move each year, right? We had lots of mobility, moved from state to state. We didn't see the communistic takeover of the economies in various states like mine in California. In the 1950s and 60s, California was the freest state in the nation. Everyone wanted to come to California. Of course, after World War II, you saw this massive shift of people moving out west to California. Now, California had already been growing at that point, but you saw a massive, massive push from about 9 million people in 1945 to about 22, 24 million people just 30 years later in 1975, right after Ronald Reagan left the governorship. But California grew exponentially. That's not the case anymore. You see a mass exodus out of California now, largely because of Democratic policies. So the share of people moving has steadily slowed down, in part because the United States population has aged, right? Think of all the baby boomers, and all the older people tend to move less. So we have more Americans living in households with two earners now. To make up for this, to move now is much more challenging because now two people have to get jobs. In the 50s and 60s, that wasn't necessarily so. Then we have to take COVID into this. There's a well-publicized increase in people decamping farther away from work and deeper into the suburbs. This surge was very brief, but in 2023, only 7.8% of Americans moved. That's a very small number. And again, as we know, they moved out of the bigger blue states, California, New York, Illinois, Connecticut, New Jersey, and they went to Florida, Texas, Tennessee, Arizona, among other places. But still, that's a very small number. So the lowest rate logged in the U.S. Census records since it began in 1948. So we have people moving less. We have the biggest drop, roughly 47% decline among people moving within the same county over 3 past decades, according to census data. People are expecting to try to buy homes. They can't upgrade. You have people that have been living in larger homes where their kids moved out. They don't necessarily want to downsize, but they'd like to, but they can't sell their houses because of the market uncertainty. And that all relates to what I just told you in the Trends Journal. People would like to do this, but they don't have the option to do so. And of course, you have to think about the stagnant job market that we just discussed. The United States obviously wanted to reopen from the pandemic. We had a lot of businesses, especially in California, by the way, going under. Not a good thing. Companies couldn't hire workers fast enough for these job applications. And people obviously have seen this market slowed since COVID. Never forget, there was a massive wealth transfer during COVID. Massive wealth transfer took place during COVID. Nobody talks about this. So, oh, well, you just stayed home for a couple months. That was massive. And you saw the very, very wealthy people still maintain their position, getting even more money. And you saw the smaller businesses begin to close, especially in the restaurant business, by the way. Putting them in more and more debt. They couldn't keep up, so they have to close. Now you've got this expensive real estate that nobody wants to buy, which is also, again, I've been telling you this, get ready for the brick and mortar bust coming. That's happening very, very soon. So the share now, again, continuing on with these statistics, the share of people switching jobs declined between the 1980s and the 2010s, according to the analysis by the Minneapolis Fed economist in this study here. In the late 1990s, the probability of it that a worker would switch employers in any month averaged around 2.8%. That is now down to 2.3% in 2020 thus far. That might not seem like a big kick, but it is a big kick. It is, because again, you're seeing these employers are, especially the employees, are less optimistic about finding a new job that they feel that they can get, that they're skilled for. They have the right credentials. Half of the respondents in this study said that they are sticking to their current job because they don't want to worry about being laid off as the newest hire. That's another problem. That happens time and time again. You have recent college graduates who are underemployed and are more than 3 times likely to be underemployed a decade later than those who quickly secure a good job. So we have a lot of things happening in this nation. People want to get ahead. People want to be, obviously, buying homes, starting their families. They want to leave the initial home they're in, and they can't do it. Doesn't mean people can't do it, but it's much more difficult to do. Anything, of course, in America is possible, but it's becoming much more difficult now. I told you, I think last week, during one of the shows, in 1960, 52% of people that were age 30 were married and owned a home. 52%. In 2025, that number is 12%. The American dream seems to be slipping away ever so surely. We got to fix this economy, folks. That's what it has to come down to. That's why I want the manufacturing to come back. I want it back. I want it thriving. I want it invested in. I want us being the world's creditor again versus being in debt now. We've got to fix this. We got to fix this as best we can. Because this is not good right now where we are. It's not very good. I'm not blaming Donald Trump. But what I am saying is we need to fix this. This has to be realized. We can't even say, well, we got the best economy we've ever had. We don't, folks. We don't. You can't tell us we're $37 trillion in debt. People coming out of college with degrees for good-paying jobs that can't get them. People can't buy homes and tell me that everything's great. It's not. It's got to get better. And again, removing the 50 million illegal aliens in this country, I think is a good start for that, by the way. Just thought I'd share that part with you. Just creep through my head right now. Let's go on to the foreign front right now. Let's talk about this article in Breitbart. The IDF calls up 60,000 reservists for a 6-month assault on Gaza City. This is another war that's not ending anytime soon. The Israeli Defense Forces have now called up 60,000 reservists for duty in the upcoming assault on Gaza City, the last stronghold of Hamas terrorists, so-called, over a 6-month period to complete the conquest of the territory. So as part of the preparations for the next phase of Operation Gideon Chariots, approximately 60,000 reservist orders have now been issued. In addition to the 20,000 reservists who have already been called up, will receive a notice extending their current orders. By the way, we have one IDF soldier every single day now committing suicide, based on what they're seeing right now, particularly in Gaza. So this decision regarding the reserves was made after an in-depth discussion to the extent of the manpower required for the continuation of combat, and of course was approved now by the Minister of Defense after all implications were presented to him. So this is not ending anytime in sight. I thought there was supposed to be a ceasefire, by the way. Of course, that never seems to play out. So what's happening in Gaza right now? What's happening right now? What are we seeing right now happening to the Gazans particularly? We know that they want Gaza as part of Greater Israel. They've been very open about this. Anyone that wants to look and see this, those that don't want to see it, claim it doesn't exist, but it is. It's what's happening. That's why they want to go into Gaza right now. Max Blumenthal told Judge Andrew Napolitano this morning on his podcast, which I recommend to each and every one of you, by the way, that there's only now one functioning humanitarian aid site now in Gaza. This is appalling. You have one functioning humanitarian aid site for 1.9 million people? I mean, Gaza is in ruins primarily. You have people that cannot work, cannot access money. There's no electricity. They're living in makeshift tents. And they're saying that there's no way that anyone could be starving. Are you kidding me? By the way, when UNRWA was doing this, they had 400 different functioning humanitarian sites. Now everyone has one location. Of course, this is, I'm thinking about this right now. It's obviously an attempt to remove these people. Get everyone in one position, sequester them, and then get them the hell out of there. That's what they're pushing for right now. So we have many families, they're sending in the strongest male they have to walk the long distance to gather whatever food they can get acquire it and bring it back to wherever they are. And they have to go through what is called the Morag Corridor, which is heavily militarized and oftentimes getting shot at. We're having drone strikes at them on their way to these humanitarian sites. Then once you actually get to the location, they'll throw boxes on the ground. You have men constantly fighting over them. I mean, this isn't done in any humane or ethical way. Far from it. So, you know, folks, we have people getting killed at these locations too, shot by the IDF. We have Max Blumenthal, who's also saying, he's detailing about the murder of a Solomon Al-Obeid, I believe is his name. He was a football star, which we call soccer, of course. He was the Pele of the Palestinian football. He was shot during an attack by Israeli forces that oversee this Gaza humanitarian fund, right? Which Netanyahu is championing as, oh, we're the ones passing out the food. Well, now this guy was shot at this. He leaves behind a wife and 5 children. Now, who's going to provide for them right now? Who's going to be able to get them food? He's a young guy. I think he's 41, if I'm not mistaken. Al Jazeera published that there are now 1,300 dead Palestinians that have been killed at these distribution sites just since the end of May. 197 hunger-related deaths, or starving, that's what it is, starving, they're starving. 96 of them have been children in Gaza. So, you know, when I hear people, especially on the right, which I don't understand this, everyone should be condemning this type of atrocity, I would think. They're saying, no, nobody's starving, look, everyone looks fat, I mean, no. All the footage I've seen, everyone's thin as can be. I mean, we're seeing this, folks. We're seeing this right in front of our eyes, and nobody says a damn thing about it. So how do you make this? I mean, how do you ignore this is what I want to know. It doesn't make any bit of sense to me. Now, Netanyahu was on, I guess, with the Hazard Boys media. This is what I'm reading from. Now, he's asked about ethnic cleansing, of course, mass casualties, and, of course, about this forever war that Israel seems to be in with Gaza. This is how he had to respond. Take a listen.
I think the forever war is the opposite. I think if we leave them there and they're committed to our destruction, then you'll have a forever war. But what is happening on the ground is actually the opposite. What is happening on the ground is we now have Gazans who are fighting Hamas because they see now in the closing phase of this war, after we had to go through these 7 fronts against all the proxies and Iran itself, and now we're circling back to finish off Hamas and demolish its last stronghold in Gaza. They see hope. They say, don't let up. Gazans, they kill Hamas. They fight Hamas. They die fighting them. And they're saying, this is our final hope to free ourselves from this tyranny. You know, this tyranny that has caused them endless suffering.
Does anyone believe this? That you have Palestinians fighting the Hamas terrorists? They're the ones being shot at by the IDF, and they're saying, hey, come on in. Don't let up. Keep shooting at us. They had 4 sites, I believe, last week. Now they have 1 site. Israel shut off electricity. They've shut off humanitarian aid for 3 months at a time. They're the ones in control of this, by the way. Everything that goes into Gaza, Israel knows about. So when they say, oh, yeah, we're sending in food, well, obviously not. That wouldn't be the situation. I explained to you once before. You have Yasser Abu Shabab, who is a ISIS member, who's intercepting this food. By the way, Israelis attack these trucks too before they enter Gaza. He's intercepting the bulk of this food, and he's now selling it on the black market. This guy's an ISIS member who also sold drugs inside Gaza. That's not being reported anywhere. Is anyone else telling you this? Folks, this is what's happening right now. People are starving there. There's a lack of aid there. There's lack of being able to access medical attention. That's why you're seeing some Palestinians now being, I believe, sent to places like Turkey, even sent to the United States to get surgeries that they wouldn't be able to get inside Gaza. because they just don't have the resources to do so. This is what's happening right now. And you have people like Laura Loomer complaining that children are coming to get medical care in the United States, while no one in the United States says that damn thing about it. Very few people. Thomas Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think that's about it. Me and a few other real podcasters out there that are telling you the truth. Let's talk about this hostage exchange, though. This is important. Hamas now accepted the ceasefire deal again, akin to the other one that they just recently accepted, even though we know that the war is still going on. And Israel broke the latest ceasefire, of course. They've done it every single time. You have cabinet ministers like Smotrich now coming out saying that within a few months, we will be able to declare that we have won. Gaza will be totally destroyed. In another 6 months, Hamas won't exist as a functioning enemy. So now you hear that, you go, okay, well, what does that mean for the future of the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip? The Times of Israel has reported that he has also said, I went and dug it up for you, don't worry. He says they will be totally despairing, understanding that there is no hope and nothing to look for in Gaza, and will be looking for relocation, think about this, relocation, to begin a new life in other places. Where are these other places? Well, they don't tell you, of course, but it's not in the Gaza Strip. And he will absolutely be greenlighting for Jewish settlements inside the Gaza Strip now, with no Palestinians in sight. This is what they want to do. They want to ethnically cleanse this region. They want to get rid of all the Palestinians. And their plan now is to send them to the South Sudan. I don't understand this. I don't understand how anyone could think this is okay. But yet, this is where we seem to continue to find ourselves. They're being very blunt about it. They're being very open about it. And then Netanyahu's questioned about this, and he's, oh, well, that's just one person. Sometimes they say things they don't mean. It can't be any more clear than this. Where are you going to relocate them to? The finance minister also said, turning the West Bank, lauded a plan to construct roads that will redirect and separate Israeli and Palestinian traffic in the area. Come on, folks. Let's be real about what's happening right now. This is an ethnic cleansing in the West Bank, in the Gaza Strip, and, of course, the acquisition of more land for Israel, for greater Israel. Netanyahu's talked about this as well. You see the insignias on IDF soldiers of their plan to take more land in Lebanon, in Syria, in Iraq, in Egypt, in Gaza, in Jordan, in Saudi Arabia, and even a sliver of Turkey. They're very open about this. This has nothing to do with self-defense. Again, we have 1.9 million people that we know are still alive in the Gaza Strip. And that means we have 500,000 dead. Because the population used to be 2.4 million before October 2023. This is where we find ourselves. This is happening in the state of Israel right now. And nobody says a damn thing about it. Donald Trump knows about this. He knows about this. We even have people that are working with the GHF. So how could I know and Donald Trump not know that this is happening right now? And why is he not more enraged? He's enraged about the killing of Ukrainians, and rightfully so. Why isn't he saying anything about the Palestinians then? It's unbelievable. You can't make this stuff up, folks. And he wants a Nobel Peace Prize. How about we get some peace in the Middle East, please, for God's sakes? How about some peace there? He's calling Netanyahu a war hero? He's a warmonger. He's a war criminal, in my estimation. Starving people out of food? Ethnically cleansing regions where they've lived for over 2,000 years? This is not right, folks. But, nobody says a damn thing about it. Of course, if you do, you're anti-Semitic, apparently. Yeah. Okay. One last thing I want to talk about since we're on the subject of Israel before I move on to my next article. I want to talk with you more about, we talked about this yesterday, this Alexandrovich. Yeah, we got some more information on that. I want to talk to you about this. Tom Alexandrovich, right? We're all wondering how he evaded the authorities and, of course, resides now back in Israel. This new development came through. I'm going to read this to you. And it was reiterated by people that I trust, so I'm going to read this to you. There is an Israeli-born official, a U.S. attorney for Nevada, and appointed by Donald Trump. She announced that her office is not going to be prosecuting Israeli child predator Tom Alexandrovich, leaving the case in the hands of local district attorneys. Now, her name is Sigal Chatta. Again, I told you she's Israeli-born. And again, this is really weird because this was all a part of a sting operation that caught what he was trying to do. And he was, I guess, searching for, soliciting minors. He was speaking with a 15-year-old boy online. And I'm not going to get into the details about it. It'll make you sick to your stomach. It's disgusting. But he was one of 8 people that were in this sting operation by police. He's arrested. Now, she is going to be charging the 7 other individuals in the same exact federal child sex sting, being prosecuted by her own office. And yet, she's not going to charge him? I don't understand this. Can you make any sense of this? This doesn't make any sense to anyone with any logic. So somehow now she's not going to charge him. He says he wants to go back to Israel. Somehow he's able to be able to book a flight. Why was the State Department or DHS not notified about this? How could someone who's being charged with a child sex felony in the United States simply get in a plane and fly back to his country of origin? So how did this criminal, he's arrested in a sting operation, surpass TSA? How did they not flag this? It's beyond me. What the hell's the point of TSA? If a criminal of this nature can evade now a court date and fly back to Israel. A non-extradition state, by the way. We spend $1 trillion a year on this crap. You're telling me that I go to the airport every damn time? I don't go through the x-rays, by the way. I refuse to do so. They're toxic. I don't recommend anyone going through that. You know, where you put your hands up and they, x-ray you. Not healthy, folks. Just thought I'd share that with you, especially if you travel a lot. It's really not good for you. So I opt out. And I get patted down like a criminal. This guy is a criminal, and he gets to go back to his country of origin. He gets to go back to Israel. It's unbelievable. I bet he flew back first class, too. I got to be honest with you. I bet he flew first class. He's very high up in the Netanyahu administration. Yeah. One thing to keep in mind, though, too. This happened in Clark County, Nevada, where mega Trump donor Miriam Adelson has a hell of a lot of pull, by the way. Just thought I'd share that with you. She's very much engaged in Israeli politics, right? And I would have to imagine she knows this Sigal Chatta. The idea that she's going to put this in the hand of a local district attorney now? I mean, folks, come on. I mean, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. How can they prosecute 7 other people of the same offenses, but drop it for this one creep now on his way back to Israel, where he will evade all consequences? You will never hear from him again. He's home free. Does that seem right to you? If this was someone, a Mexican national, we hear about this all the time. From Guatemala or Mexico or wherever the hell they're from. Doesn't matter. I'm just using that as an example. We've heard about that, especially with the Tren de Aragua and MS-13 gang members. We heard about it with the what's his name? I can't think of his name now. The Maryland dad. Everyone thought he was, dad of the year. Abrego Garcia, there it goes. It came to me. Abrego Garcia was trafficking minors, right? That was one of the charges against him, on top of domestic disputes. Would we just let him get on a plane and fly back to wherever the hell he's from, El Salvador, wherever he's from? Do you think we would allow that to happen? Now, if you think we would, I think you're mistaken. So why is he getting a special privilege? Why is this being let go? Why is the State Department not more involved? That someone who is soliciting minors can get back on a plane and fly just fine and evade consequences. You tell me. I'd love to know what you think about that. This is beyond ridiculous to me. Obviously, this is a setup. They let him go. They knew about this. That's why you had the State Department come right away and say, well, we had no idea about this. We're not intervening in this. Give me a break. Come on. It's sickening to me. Sickening. Absolutely sickening to me. All right. Before I get too angry, let's move on to my last article. This is going to get me angry too, but it's okay. The New York Post has now stated that billionaire hedge fund heir Elizabeth Simmons donates $250,000 to pro-Mamdani super PAC. Wow. Now, this is interesting on many faces to me because you have this so-called philanthropist. She's the daughter of late billionaire hedge fund investor Jamie Simmons, and now donated $250,000 to pro-Mamdani super PAC, New Yorkers for lower cost. Now, this is stupid because this putz doesn't know how anything works. I mean, he was a rapper, right? He doesn't know how to do that. And he was into it. Imagine how he's going to run the, housing in New York City. It's going to be a disaster. Now, this contribution was the largest made to the group, promoting the Democratic Socialist, who is now championed that, by the way. He's now calling himself a Democratic Socialist, which means he is a communist. Make no mistake about it. Lenin always told us socialism is communism. Now, this PAC apparently now has raised nearly $2 million from 300 separate donations. Simmons is the chairwoman of the board of directors for the Heising Simmons Foundation, which was co-founded by her husband, Mark Heising. Whoever the hell he is, who the hell cares? And it goes over who this woman is. I don't really care who she is. She's a lunatic if she's donating that much money to a schmuck like Zoran Mamdani. Her picture's on this article, by the way. You can look at it. Looks like a lunatic. Looks like a lunatic. His net worth was estimated $31.4 billion. Oh, it's not bad. Not bad at all. $31.4 billion. A lot of money to spend around, just like Soros. Maybe she's like Soros' son, the schmuck with the glasses. Looks like a weirdo. Maybe that's, maybe they're, one of a kind, They take daddy's money and spend it on these PACs to push in these ultra left-wing communists. Under the facade, of course, of lower housing rates. You're not going to get lower housing rates under him. What does he know? He's talking about freezing rates. You get less housing and higher cost under Zoran Mamdani, folks, if you're in D.C. Look at this lunatic. I can't believe this. And isn't it a bit odd? You have a billionaire, of which he claims to hate so much. Right? He hates billionaires. Right? He hates capitalism, free market capitalism. Yet he's okay taking billionaires' money to, again, push his agenda. He's fine with that. Right? Remember he said this? He told them. He told Meet the Press in June. He said, I don't think we should have billionaires because, frankly, it is so much money in a moment of such inequality. And ultimately, we need more of what we need more of is equality across our city and across our state and across our country. But he's all right taking Simmons' money. That's okay. He can do that. He's absolutely fine doing that. Then we have billionaire Democratic Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker fired back at the time saying, look how much money you don't have doesn't determine what your values are. Wow. Such profound words from the blimp himself. Whew. Unbelievable. Look at this. Last week, let's see, Fix the City Super PAC backed Andrew Cuomo's campaign for mayor, raising a staggering $26 million. They're going hard for this. Plus, we get handed a $100,000 donation from well-known heir Alice Walton, a big backer of charter school. Well, if Mamdani gets in, there's not going to be any more charter schools. There's not going to be any more school choice. It's over if he gets in. And your rent will not get lower. It will get higher. And the entire time while he does it, he will completely blame the system for it. It will never be his fault. It'll be somebody else's fault while he maintains power. That's all he really cares about anyway. Power, more money thrown at him, and of course spending that money. Look how much money AOC has. She's a millionaire now, right? She has about 2 brain cells in her head, but yet somehow she became a millionaire while being in Congress making $174,000 a year. Don't these communists pretend they hate money, but they're all uber wealthy? Same thing with Bernie Sanders. Yep. Folks, I hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you'll share with some friends. Thanks for being here once again. I appreciate it. Get this information out, and I'll see you on the next Marco Dre show. Until then, be good, stay busy, and God bless.